How you doing, everybody? Hope you're having a great day, and welcome back to another video where I take characters from other stories, shows, books, TV shows, and bring them into D&D. And today we're going to be looking at Humphrey Geller. And if you don't know, Humphrey Geller is from He Who Fights with Monsters, the same book series from where Jason Asano is from. The first D&D character I believe I did. Video like this on. So check that out if you haven't. So Humphrey Geller was suggested in that video, so I'm going to be making a video on him. Before we start that, please leave a like, subscribe, comment down below if you have any suggestions, any character you want to see in D&D. I'll try to work on it as much as I can. So, and yeah, one more thing. So I'm on the wiki page for He Who Fights with Monsters, and this is the image for Humphrey Geller. Can someone tell me if this is official art for the character? I don't think so, but I actually can't be sure. So if you guys know if this is the actual image, the official art, just let me know. So a little overview of Humphrey. He is from the world of Palimastus, where the majority, the big bulk of the story takes place. He is basically described as basically a dragon. His essences are magic, might, wing, and the confluence was dragon. And he also has a familiar, which is a mirage dragon known as a Valitrix's stash. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly, or stash for short. As you can see, so I've been going through a lot of how should we say this? A lot of combinations to come up with the best class, the best character sheet for Humphrey. No, when I say best, I mean best thematically, not just not min-maxed. So, one way I wanted to go with was going to a paladin, and then for the steed, we could use the Dragonels from Fizban's Treasury of Dragons or the Dragonlance series. But it didn't feel like a close bond as much as I would want, so this is the character sheet I made up with. And yeah, as you can see, the name is I went with Ranger. While I was making this, it made me think, in a world where monsters exist, most of the adventurers would be rangers, and Humphrey has been described as basically the typical adventurer, the most straightforward adventurer in the entire group. So yeah, let's get on with the character builder. So as said before, the name's gonna be Humphrey Geller, and the race I went with was Variant Human. Now I went with Variant Human because of thematic reasons. Humphrey is human, but I really wanted to go with a Dragonborn, especially the new variants that came out with Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. We could take either a red or a gold Dragonborn, basically giving us that fire breath. Now, why I lean towards fire is because he does have an ability that turns regular fire into dragon fire. It's been described in the series. For languages, we're going to take Draconic, and to distribute our ability points, I chose 1 in Dexterity, 1 in Wisdom. Skills, I chose Animal Handling, and as a feat, I chose the Gift of the Metallic Dragon, which lets us choose between our Intelligence, Charisma, and Wisdom as a casting stat, basically, for the spell we get. And I chose Wisdom because we are a ranger. So now we get on to the main part, stats. Now I use the standard array. You could roll for it, but just keep it in this order. So 15 in Wisdom, 14 in Dexterity, 13 in Constitution, 12 in Strength, 10 in Charisma, 8 in Intelligence. Oops, excuse me. And for the background, I chose Noble, mainly because Humphrey is a noble. He comes from the Geller clan, which is a nobility in Greenstone, and they haven't taken any other nobility, not any other country, I believe. And so when we choose noble, we get skill proficiencies, which is history, and we also get to choose. Why did I put wisdom here? Huh. Could be a typo. My bad. And we get to choose a language. I chose giant. You'd be surprised how many languages we get to pick up by just being a ranger and having the noble background class. So let's get on with the character build-up. Class, as I said before, we're going to take ranger. So level 1, we gain proficiencies and we get to choose 3. I chose athletics, insight, and investigation. We also get to choose our favorite enemies, and I went with monstrosities. In a world such as Palimpsestus, I'm highly betting that most of the monsters will be characterized as monstrosities. And we get to also choose another language. I chose Elvish. And we also get Natural Explorer. We get to choose from different environments. I chose Grasslands as that was the best identifier with the beginning of the story, especially the first 3 books of Greenstone, where basically Grasslands describe Greenstone to me. Level 2, we choose a fighting style. I chose dueling. Now, there wasn't a way for me to use a great sword. Humphrey does have a great sword and a long sword from if my memory serves me correctly. But we don't have a option by being a ranger. Now, you could try to multi-class into something like a paladin to get to be able to wield a great sword. But I chose dueling as he does have 2 swords, though I don't think he's ever used them together. And we also gain spell castings. We don't get any cantrips though. That's how it goes for rangers. So we get to choose 2 spells. I chose Hunter's Mark and Absorb Elements. Hunter's Mark should be obvious. Every ranger should have it. And Absorb Elements just to give a little bit more protection. Then we move on to level 3. We get Primal Awareness. And then for Ranger archetype, I chose Drake Warden. Mainly because of the Drake Companion we get and the other abilities we get, which in my opinion, suit Humphrey better than a Paladin would. Then we get it by choosing Drake Warden. We get the Draconic Gift, which gives us another language, which I chose would be Primordial. And we also get to choose a Drake Companion. And we get to choose between the main draconic elements. I chose fire. Now, you don't have to have your Drake Companion be red. You can talk to your DM, make the dragon look silvery, or maybe you can have the Drake be from the metallic family, which I don't think is a thing in D&D, but you can flavor it as such, and have the skin be very silvery metallic kind of looking, just to mimic Stash. And your Drake Companion basically is Stash. And then you also get another spell. I chose Jump. Now, Jump, from my experience, hasn't been used a lot, but the people who do know what they're doing can make Jump work. Level 4, we get to choose a feat or increase our ability points. Now, I went with a feat. You do not need to take this feat. You can just boost your wisdom if you want. And I chose Gift of the Chromatic Dragon, mainly because of the extra effects it gives us. And we don't get any spells, I believe, and then we move on to level 5, where we get our extra attack, and we also get another spell, and I chose Zephyr Strike. Zephyr Strike can be very useful as a very melee combat fighters. Yeah, can be very useful for melee combat fighters. And level 6, we get Favorite Enemy. I chose Beasts at this time. Now you could change it to Dragons if you want. And we get another language, and I chose Celestial. We also get Natural Explorer again, and I chose Coast to signify the Storm Kingdom. We don't get any spells, I believe, at level 6. Now we get onto level 7, where we get the Bond of Fang and Scale, which basically increases the power and the speed and size of our Drake Companion. And then we also get another spell, and I chose Dark Vision. So at level 8, we also get to choose between ability points and a skill feat. I went with ability points, and so I chose to put one in Constitution and one into Dexterity, and we also get Land Strike. We don't get any spells at level 8. Now we can move on to level 9. Sorry, we move on to level 9, and we don't get any feature, but we do get another spell, and I chose Non-Detection. At level 10, we get Natural Explorer, and I chose Mountain. That's where the mainly most of the dragons will be, especially the reds, the silvers, the golds. Maybe not golds, but maybe the top ends of the dragons would be. We also get Hide in Plain Sight. It increases our stealth, and at this point maybe you won't need to use Non-Detection. You can switch it out for another spell if you want over here. Now at level 11 we get Drake's Breath. Now if you chose to be a Dragonborn, you could add Drake's Breath to your natural fire breathing abilities, so you'd have more fire breath chances. And we also get another spell, and I chose a Shirtaloon Stride. If you've been watching all the other D&D videos, you might have known that you might know that a Shirtaloon Stride is one of my favorite spells, and I try to fit it in as much as possible. Level 12, we get ability points or feat. I went with ability points, one in Constitution and one in Wisdom. So we don't get any other spells or any other features. And let's move on to level 13. Now at level 13, we do not get any features, but we do get the option to choose a spell. Now I did not choose a spell at level 13, mainly because when we move on to 14, we get the access to level 4 spells. So yeah, I chose to hold off on picking a spell. Now you might want to pick a spell if you want to, go ahead, but this is how I basically went with it. At level 14, we get to choose another favorite enemy, and I chose dragons. For languages, I chose Abyssal, and we also gain the feature Vanish. And we also get to choose one spell. Well, we don't actually, but because we didn't take anything at level 13, we get to choose one here. Excuse me. I chose Freedom of Movement, just in case if something happens. And at level 15, we get Perfected Bond, which again increases our connection with our Drake. Now, if it was how should I say this? If you want, you can choose to stop being a fighter. Sorry, not a fighter, a ranger here, and spend your next 4 levels on some other class if you want. Maybe fighter, maybe paladin if you want. You do not need to go further, but I chose to just stick it all into a ranger. So at level 15, like I said, we get Perfected Bond, and we also get another spell to choose, and I chose Guardian of Nature. So that's it for level 15. Now let's move on to level 16, and where we get to choose ability points. I chose to put one in Constitution and one in Wisdom. And we don't get any other spells, so we move on to level 17, where we don't get any features, but we do get to choose a spell, and I chose Freedom of Winds. Now I believe Freedom of Winds is a Critical Role spell. I might be wrong, but I think it is. So you might want to have your the Critical Role thing checked up on your character creation on D&D Beyond. At level 18, we get Feral Senses. We don't get to choose another spell, but at level 19, we get the ability to choose ability points or feats. I went with ability points, and I put 2 in Intelligence just to raise it up, so we don't get any negative modifiers. And we get to choose another spell, our last spell, which is going to be Steel Wind Strike. And level 20, we get Foe Slayer. Now, if you've been adding it up as we go along, none of these stats hit 20. And I'm gonna, if you want, you can rearrange however you want and get your Wisdom to 20. But I like the way it came out. So let's move on to D&D Beyond just to see the character sheet. Oops, let's hit View. There we go. So if you notice, Charisma is at 12 right now. that's mainly due to the equipment we have on. Now for armor, I went with the Dragon Scale Mail armor, the Red Dragons one. It allows you to sense a red dragon if it's close by. You can change it to a gold or whichever one you want. And I also put in the Ion Stone of Leadership. I still don't know how to say it. That basically boosts our charisma by 2 points. The reason I chose that item was mainly because Humphrey is a leader. He might not be the most charismatic person in the group compared to Jason and Neil, but he is still he still is the leader, and people still do look up to him. So I thought his charisma should be a bit more higher, so he can express himself more. So yeah, that's why. And for weapon, I chose the Dragon's Wrath weapon, the Ascendant version. It is a longsword. Basically, it gives you an extra elemental damage when you use your longsword. And all those items are tuned. Now you can forgo the Ion Stone of Leadership and maybe choose to give him a tattoo, kind of like how I went with Jason. A tattoo that provides him with flame resistance, or some other tattoo if you want. And yeah, that's gonna be it, I believe. Let me see if I'm missing anything. Everything seems okay. Yeah, so this is how the character sheet will look like. Now usually, like I said before, I try to get one of the main stats to 20, but I'm very happy with how this turned out. If you do want to get wisdom to 20, you can just take the 2 that we put into intelligence at level 19, I believe, and just move it on to wisdom. I chose to put into intelligence, as I said before, mainly so we don't get any negative modifiers. Also because while he doesn't seem it, Humphrey has had a good education, mainly because he comes from a noble home and a dynasty of adventurers. So he's pretty smart up there. Not to the level of maybe Clive or maybe even Jason in some areas, but he is still very intelligent. He's still a very intelligent person. So yeah, our armor class will be 17. There we go. And I believe that's it. Now, this is the best I could come up with. I did go through a lot of multi-classing, and basically I went with different classes and stuff. There is one I found, but there's no way I can bring it into D&D Beyond without creating the subclass by myself. I think D&D Shorts is the YouTube channel's name. He has a subclass made called the Draconic Paladin, I believe it's called, where you are a paladin and you have a dragon companion pet-ish thing. Now you can check it out on his channel if you want. He does talk about it, which did sound a lot like Humphrey in my opinion. So yeah, that's gonna be it. Please leave a like, subscribe, comment down below if you have any suggestions on what characters I can do next. There are some recommendations in the previous 2 or 3 videos I've made, and I am working on those, especially the Issei Hyuda one. Next, I believe I'll do. I'm not sure. Which character should I do from He Who Fights with Monsters? Maybe I'll do Gary. I like the Smith. Maybe I'll do Gary, or maybe I'll do Neil. Clive is gonna be a bit challenging, but I think I'll just go straight on Wizard with him. So yeah, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.